Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks so much for tuning in. Okay, Trump gave a bunch of speeches over the weekend, and here at the beginning of the week, they're saying that Trump is quoting Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to play you Trump's clip in a minute, and then I will go into what Hitler said and tell you how it's not the different. But, you know, here's the thing, okay? The line that they're saying that Trump quoted from Hitler is in Hitler's book Mein Kampf, which I haven't heard anybody talk about that book for a long time. The education system has really stopped teaching American history, and so you don't learn about the heroism of World War II anymore. All you learn about is the Pilgrims came here and killed all the Indians and stole all the land.
Right.
So things involving how we defeated the Nazis and all that, you don't hear about. I haven't heard anybody talk about Hitler or Mein Kampf in a long time, unless they're calling a Republican Hitler. And here's the thing about this quote from Hitler. It is towards the end of Mein Kampf. And what is happening right now because of the left, millions of people around the world are buying copies on like Kindle Unlimited and Apple books of Mein Kampf. They've just, because of this story that the left made up and put out there, Mein Kampf may very well become a bestseller this week in this country.
It could.
And that's a terrible, terrible thing.
Yep.
Okay? It's pretty disgusting. And and all of a sudden, we have all these liberals that are supporting the Palestinian terrorist trying to complete what Hitler started, trying to bring us into the Holocaust, right? I mean, these people are shameless on the left. So President Trump, the quote in particular is from his speech in New Hampshire, which was on Saturday, which I thought was a very good speech. We watched the whole thing. It was very, very good. And what he's talking about is the completely open border. And what's happened with the Democrats, they used to have a strong base of support in different groups. They had labor unions, African Americans, gays, the young vote, women. They had all these different demographics, the Democrats, that were voting blocks that they could depend on and not have to work for. And they're losing. The youth vote is Trump now. There's huge groups of gays for Trump. A lot of African Americans have left the Democrat Party, the walk-away movement and Blexit that Candace Owens had and all this stuff. The labor unions really are non-existent because the Democrats, they pushed all the jobs to China and Mexico, with NAFTA and everything they've done with China. So they're in trouble. They've lost so much of their base. They're in a panic. And what's going on with the Democrats, they have a completely open border. And, when the illegals come here, the Democrats, you see this in the news, they transport them all over the country. Do you think they're just randomly picking places? They are targeting communities. The Democrats are thinking decades ahead. They're targeting communities, and they ship the illegal immigrants to different parts of the country by design so that in the future it will change the voting blocks of those communities, those cities, those states, et cetera. When it comes to congressional races, House races are quite often won by 100 votes, 150 votes, 200 votes, even less, So it doesn't take that much to upset a demographic of an area and change a congressional district from red to blue or blue to red or something like that. So that's what's going on here. You hear a lot of people talk about the great replacement theory, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what Trump's referencing. So let me pull the clip up and we'll play it. And then I'll pull up from Mein Kampf what Hitler said, and I'll tell you the difference in what they are saying. By the way, Hitler did not speak English. He said everything in German. So no one's sounding like Hitler here, okay? Nobody even – have you ever heard Hitler speak English? No, he never spoke English that I know. But listen, this is Trump in New Hampshire on Saturday.
Der
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They poison mental institutions and prisons all over the world, not just in South America, not just the 3 or 4 countries that we think about, but all over the world. They're coming into our country from Africa, from Asia, all over the world. They're pouring into our country. Nobody's even looking at them. They just come in. The crime is going to be tremendous. The terrorism is going to be, and then we built a tremendous piece of the wall, and then we...
Okay. So that's it. And, oftentimes we saw this happen with the Mario boat lift here in South Florida and Miami. If you remember Scarface, I know that's fictional, but Scarface, Al Pacino's character, came to Miami during the Mario boat lift, and he became the big drug kingpin. During the Mario boat lift, not all, but many of the people here were, Castro was emptying out his jails, his prisons, and mental institutions, and putting people on boats. And
isn't that how Australia got started?
Yeah, well, a little different, but similar. So these countries do send their undesirables, the people that are causing them trouble, here. That's a fact. Not all of them, but a lot of them. There was a sad story I saw over the weekend. An illegal immigrant killed a police officer. And I've talked many times when I was a kid. A friend of mine, he was the boyfriend of a cousin of mine, was murdered by 2 illegal immigrants here in Florida. He was a couple years older than I am, maybe 5 years older than I am, 6 years older. He'd probably be a grandfather now. He had no life. He met, but probably wasn't even 21 yet, right? When he was killed. So what Trump is saying is true. Now Hitler, he was talking about something different. Hitler was not talking about immigration, okay? He was not talking about illegal immigration. And let me read Hitler. This is from an article, not Mein Kampf. I don't have a copy of Mein Kampf readily available, and I'm certainly not going to go buy it. So Kathy and I found an article that gives you the quote from Mein Kampf, because I don't want to help make Mein Kampf a bestseller, but it could very well be a New York Times bestseller this week. So this is an article again about it, and they give the quote in the article. Okay, the comments of Trump have been roundly condemned. And who first said that he was quoting Hitler was the Biden campaign. I find it interesting that the Biden campaign are so versed on Mein Kampf. It's amazing. Why is that? They just that's
right away.
That's on page 254 of Mein Kampf. What's he say? It's crazy. The comments of Trump have been roundly condemned as a warning of his increasingly violent and authoritarian rhetoric. I don't know what they're talking about. Echoing Mein Kampf's, which says, this is what Hitler wrote: contamination of the blood and the poison which has invaded the national body from an influx of foreign blood. Okay. What Hitler was talking about was not immigrants, okay? People did not immigrate really in large numbers to Germany, especially when the Nazis were coming in. Certainly not after the Second World War, when the country had been defeated and was facing an incredibly huge amount of inflation and everything else. What Hitler was talking about here is he believed that if you were not an Aryan, that you were not a German. That if you had DNA of any ethnicity in you,
right,
that was an Aryan, you were not a German. Therefore, you were a foreigner. What Hitler was saying is that millions of Germans were not Germans. Millions of Germans were invaders. In particular, he was talking about Jews, of course. But some of these were old German families going back centuries, some of them heroes of their wars and everything else in World War. But they were foreigners because they were not 100% Aryan. That's what Hitler was. Hitler was talking about two incredibly different things. What the Nazis declared was that millions of Germans were no longer German. And then they started rounding them. They did deportations, then rounded them up to the camps. You know the story of the Holocaust. It's not what Trump's talking about at all. It is not the same. If Trump all of a sudden said that millions of Americans were not Americans
Right.
because of their ethnicity, then he would be echoing Hitler.
Yeah, it's totally different.
And I know some people will listen to this and say, you're splitting hairs. No, I'm not splitting hairs. What makes a country are many things, right? A common language, a common culture, and borders. I'm sure there's other things too, but those are the three big ones. A common language, a common culture, and borders. And what's happening is we've under Biden, we're losing all three of those things. Right now, as we are speaking, there is no southern border. The southern border is just a line on a map. It doesn't exist. Okay, so there's your border. And those that are coming here illegally are not assimilating into American culture. They're not learning the language or the culture. And you can see this when you see people like Tlaib and some of these others in Congress that are siding with the Palestinians that are immigrants. You can see that the newest wave of immigrants are not becoming Americanized. And becoming Americanized is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You know, Kathy and I are grandchildren of immigrants. Mm-hmm. Kathy from Italy, me from Greece. And we don't think of ourselves as Italian or Greeks. We're Americans. Our grandparents saw themselves as Americans. There's no assimilation going on. That's what Trump is talking about. And what they're doing by having millions of people come here illegally that don't learn the language, don't learn the culture, don't assimilate, is they're doing away with what is the United States of America. And one thing they've been doing, we've talked about this a lot over the years on this program. They have decided that, in the United States, those of you that are outside America, the United States, we call ourselves Americans, right? Not United Statesians. We call ourselves Americans. And what the left have been doing for the last 10 years, and they've been very successful in this, is they're saying that anyone who is in North or South America is an American. Because you're in South America, you're in North. That means Canadians are Americans.
Right.
That means if you're from Belize, you're an American. I don't know if they include the Caribbean in that or not, but anyone who is in North, South, or Central America, the left have for a decade been saying you are Americans. So what they're doing is they're purging our entire civilization from the face of the earth, and this is totally different than Hitler. Hitler was blaming the Jews for the German surrender and the loss of the First World War, and he was declaring Jews are not German citizens any longer. Therefore, they have no rights. It wasn't just Jews; it was others, but it was mainly Jews. That is not what Trump talked about. And anyone with half a brain cell knows that. Yeah. But they hate him, Donald Trump, so much they can't see straight.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah. So Trump is not Hitler. Okay. And in case you didn't know, he is not Hitler. He is not quoting Hitler. And anyone who puts those two things together, if they can read and have reading comprehension skills at a third grade level, will understand that they're talking about two entirely different things. Now, you can let me know in the comments of the program what you think about that, but that's what I think. Now, before we move on to any other topics, I want to follow up on something that I was talking about on the show this morning, okay? I had to get gas on the way to the radio station this morning, and there's a gas, I didn't go to the ghetto gas station I went to with a homeless guy. I went to a nice gas station in our neighborhood, which I don't normally go to because the gas is a little more expensive. Gasoline is priced differently in neighborhood to neighborhood. The nicer the neighborhood, the more expensive the gas is. Just the way it is, I guess. And so I usually don't buy the gas at the gas station that I went to today. It's close to our house because it's expensive. In fact, I got gas there today. It was the first time I bought gas there in years. And I drive by that gas station every day because it's so. But anyway, I got gas, and I made this YouTube short. And I said, just on a YouTube short, another reason to vote for Trump: low gas prices, make American gas affordable again.
Right.
Pretty good. I just made that up right when I was talking. I didn't even think about that. Make American gas affordable again, MAGA. And I put that up there, and then people are commenting. I got some calls on the show this morning. Oh, gas is under $3 a gallon. Well, gas was under $2 a gallon when Trump was president, okay? So what happens is Biden drives gasoline prices through the roof, brings them down a little bit, but they're still over $1 more than what they were. When I filled my car up on Inauguration Day when I went to see Trump at Mar-a-Lago, it was $1.57 a gallon. I remember because when I filled it up, I said it's $1.57 a gallon. I'm going to remember this so we can see how high it's gone up. The number Trump gives is higher than that because he's given a national average when he left office. Here in Florida, at the gas station by our house, $1.57 a gallon, okay? Regular unleaded. And people seem excited that it's, I can get it for $2.70 some now. It's still over $1 more than when Trump was in office. And, gas really should be about $1 a gallon, $1.50 a gallon, like it was when Trump was in office, $1.57, And the reason that gas went up is because Biden shut down drilling in Anwar. He shut down the Keystone Pipeline. He shut that Keystone XL pipeline. And he shut down a lot of future drilling contracts that were getting, we were the number one producer of oil in the world when Trump was president. We are not now. That's why gas was low. So, but it's amazing because gas was so high and was so difficult, it was so expensive to fill up a tank of gas that even a lot of Republicans are like, well, it's only $2.73 now or $2.77, don't fall for that. Don't fall for that. It is still too expensive. And that was a little disturbing to me that people are falling and have fallen for that. All right, now before we break, I want to tell you, I want to give a big thank you to you guys in the audience. I heard from Mike Lindell's office, and a lot of you purchased MyPillow products already in December. You can still, by the way, get huge deals with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com. But they in particular contacted me today. We did very, very, very huge sales. And, the radio station that I'm on, we're a big radio station here in South Florida. We go from the Treasure Coast north all the way down to the Florida Keys. But they still consider us a local radio station, and they contact me sometimes. You in this audience, we have a response to Mike Lindell and MyPillow through this audience on the morning show, on the podcast, on my YouTube channel that rivals national programs, and I really want to thank you guys for your support of all the content that I'm connected to, the podcast here with Kathy, the Steve Kane Show in the mornings, my YouTube channel, and because that helps us. When you support our sponsors, like Mike Lindell, you're supporting all of the work that we do, and that's really nice, and it's really grateful. So go to mypillow.com, use our promo code Kane, Kane, huge savings. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
Are you feeling stuck emotionally, spiritually, or mentally? Author Tassiane Assis shares her own path to discovering how freedom is a progressive, nurturing process that grows from within. In the new book, The Pursuit of Freedom, 4 Steps to a Lifestyle of Walking in Freedom. When you read The Pursuit of Freedom, you'll learn how to access and reprogram your subconscious for better decision-making. Encounter the profound love of Christ and explore the Freedom Technique, a unique approach developed by cognitive behavior therapists to reframe your mindset. If you've ever felt lost, even when everything seemed right, this book is for you. It's a guide to realizing that freedom is not just a concept, but a lifestyle, one that evolves from glory to glory as you deepen your relationship with the source of all freedom. Step into a new level of freedom, faith, glory, and abundance. And order your copy of The Pursuit of Freedom, 4 Steps to a Lifestyle of Walking in Freedom from author Tassiane Assis. Available on Amazon. Brace yourself for a journey into the darkest corners of human nature with the Mortal Musings Podcast, available wherever you get your podcast. Join host Neil and Megan each week as they travel to the chilling world of true crime and macabre stories. From fringe socialites with hidden secrets to chilling tales from death row, they leave no stone unturned. They also bring you the strange and intriguing stories of oddities that will leave you questioning your very reality. Each episode of the Mortal Musings Podcast is a roller roller coaster ride through the bizarre and unsettling. New episodes drop every Wednesday. The Mortal Musings podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and all podcast platforms. If you crave the dark, the mysterious, and the utterly bizarre, you'll want to add the Mortal Musings podcast to your podcast playlist. The Mortal Musings podcast with host Neil and Megan. We take the cases seriously, but not ourselves. Available wherever you get your podcast. It's time to revolutionize your skincare routine and embrace a cruelty-free and ethical approach to beauty. And you could do just that with theveganbeautycult.com. At theveganbeautycult.com, you'll discover a huge range of cleansers, shampoos, toners, lotions, and a lot more. Each product is meticulously formulated to ensure effectiveness while remaining gentle and safe for all skin types. Beyond their commitment to being vegan and cruelty-free, theveganbeautycult.com go the extra mile. Their products are thoughtfully packaged in eco-friendly materials to minimize their environmental impact, and they're completely free of harmful chemicals. And for the holiday season, don't miss out on their incredible Christmas-themed scents. Indulge in the Cozy Snowman, experience the freshness of Candy Cane Clarifying Gel, or cleanse with Rudolph's Hand and Body Wash. And there's many, many more too. Remember, skincare is an act of self-love, and it's a way to show your love for our planet. Take care of yourself and our Earth with theveganbeautycult.com. It's time to embrace a cruelty-free and ethical approach to beauty. Theveganbeautycult.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Okay, so of course now they say Trump's Hitler, which of course is stupid, and now they're going after Roseanne Barr. And Roseanne Barr over the weekend spoke at Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, and in particular, there's this one clip of hers that from the speech that they're giving her a hard time about and attacking her. Let me play this. And then we'll talk about it. This is Roseanne Barr, who I love. I think she's awesome.
She is.
Mm-hmm. She follows me on Twitter, too. And she's a very, very nice lady. Very, very funny. And she's an American icon and pretty amazing. But anyway, here's the clip of Roseanne Barr from Turning Point USA over the weekend that they're going after her on.
All in for President Trump. I just want to say that. I'm just all in. I'm just all in, I said, I'm all in, whatever, you just let me know I'm all in, because I know if I ain't all in, man, they're going to put my ass in a gulag. If he loses, I know, that what they're going to do, and I don't really want to go to a re-education camp and have to give all my money away to a bunch of losers that never know how to get a job. I don't care about them. If we don't stop these horrible communists, do you hear me? I'm asking you to hear me. Stalinist, communists, with a huge helping of Nazi fascists thrown in, plus wanting a caliphate, to replace every Christian democracy on earth now occupied. Do you know that?
That's
They are hanging on her every word.
That's Roseanne Barr. Everybody loves Roseanne Barr in America. Okay, celebrities have been involved in politics for forever.
Yeah.
The first Hollywood liberal was John Wilkes Booth. They didn't have Hollywood yet, but if they did, he would have been in it. He was a very famous actor, right? It would have been like, look, Ben Affleck, when he jumped off the thing, or
Yeah.
But most of them are always Democrats. It really started. The celebrity political thing really started with Kennedy with Sinatra, right? And the Rat Pack. They started that. And there are not that many celebrities who are Republican that come out. Very few of them. And those that do don't go to events where the candidates are, right? Like I've never seen Kelsey Grammer at something like this. And the conservatives that usually do are older, established actors, and they do get their careers destroyed. Ricky Schroeder, who likes to be called Rick now, I still call him Ricky Schroeder. I remember years ago, 20 years ago and so, Ricky Schroeder was regularly at the Republican National Conventions. He got involved in politics, and he hasn't worked in years because of all these things. But I'm not saying this is true of Roseanne in her speech, because I think what she said, everything she said was accurate, and I'll tell you how in a minute. But we have how many celebrities? 5 that come out and speak openly for Trump, and they tear them all down. But liberal celebrities can talk all day, okay? And nobody says anything about that in the press. What she talked about there with the fascist and the Stalinist and the Nazis and what they're doing, Carrie Lake was a turning point too, and she brought up something that is very true that came out a week or two ago, that everyone who ever liked or retweeted a Donald Trump tweet is now on a government watch list. Jack Smith let this out of the bag a couple weeks ago. Yep. That's Stalinist. That's Nazi-like. That's communist. Yep. Okay? She's right. And they're making fun of the way she talks. That's how Roseanne Barr always talked, even in her stand-up act. Mm-hmm. Okay? I've been watching her from that Rodney Dangerfield special, since she first became national. That's how she's always talked, just like this. Now, if she was out there talking about Biden attacking Trump, they'd be praising her. I wouldn't be paying attention. I don't listen to celebrities that promote Biden and Democrats. But everything she said is accurate. Stalinist, communist, Nazis. Look what they're doing to Trump. We got all these fake trials going on. He committed no crimes. They've got 5-6 trials. They arrested him. He's been a mugshot of him. I'm wearing a T-shirt right now with Trump's mugshot on it. I mean, this is crazy. So everything she said, it's not like if they win, these things are going to happen. We're living through it now. Yeah. And Steve Kane and I did a personal appearance yesterday, and I was talking to someone there. They were telling me they have a coworker from Venezuela, and they said this is exactly how they took over Venezuela, right? They got the media. They started arresting political opposition. And then she says, I don't want to go to a gulag. Look at all these J6ers that are still in jail. And so far as re-education camp, that's what critical race theory is. And all of these things, sensitivity training. These are all re-education camps. And look at these. You want to talk about re-education camps and gulags. Look at these people that used to be some of the most outspoken Trump supporters that are now repeating MSNBC rhetoric, right? Jenna Ellis.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of them.
Sidney Powell with the Kraken, and Jenna Ellis. They were 2 of the biggest vocal Trump supporters on television. Michael Cohen was another one. And now look, anything the Democrats want them to say, they will say, because Michael Cohen, Jenna Ellis, and Sidney Powell have gone to re-education camp. Yeah. They've been put in gulags, have been put in re-education camps, and will say whatever the state wants them to say. That's why I don't get angry at any, except Michael Cohen. I got angry at him, but Jenna Ellis and Sidney Powell, I don't hold anything against them. They've been broken. They've been brainwashed. They've been re-educated to think right. Newspeak, 1984, and all this stuff. And so everything that Roseanne Barr said there, we're seeing it happen right in front of us right now. We are experiencing it. Now, today's Monday. This story, the sex scandal in the Senate conference room, the Senate hearing room, that story broke on Friday. I'm not going to go through the details of it right now. That story's already been disappeared. There has not been a single update on the story. I'll just, without getting into the details, because I talked about it on my streams over the weekend and this morning, but there was a Senate aide that had sex in the Senate hearing room where they have all the Senate confirmation hearings for Supreme Court justices. You've seen it on TV a million times.
I'm wondering, is that like a thing? Like, they recorded that, but so that's how people knew about it. But is it like a thing that people do?
Yes. Because what happened was
they just happened to get, caught or whatever.
What happened is the two that were having sex, the one was the Senate aide. The other one, Laura Loomer, has not been positively identified, so I'm not saying their name. But Laura Loomer reported yesterday that it's a German national. And what had happened is they filmed themselves having sex, and the Senate aide who's been fired. I love how they say, well, he's been fired. It's all over. Nothing to see here. The aide that has been fired allegedly uploaded it to a private website for Senate or congressional staffers. And then somebody saw it there and then made it public on social media. So it seems to me that there's some type of weird club, like
an initiation or something.
No, I think it's just I think it's a club.
No, I mean like that's part of the initiation. You have sex in the Senate chamber.
I don't think it's initiation. I think
it's weird. Yeah,
I think
I'm sure there's a lot of weird. I mean, that's what Cawthorn said. Must be a lot of weird sex clubs up there.
We don't really know because the press won't investigate it, right? But I think
they're probably members of the same club.
I think what it is, it's a club where they do these exhibitionist things in places like that, and then they share in their club. And what I found very interesting is when it came out that the other guy is a German national, I'm wondering if that's a security risk. He's not a U.S. citizen. He's a German citizen. Yep. The Russians have a lot of strong ties to Germany. They had East Germany all those years. They got a lot of strong ties to Germany. And countries that are allies of ours spy on us, and we spy on our allies too. Remember that's how Jonathan Pollard got in trouble, right? He was spying for Israel, who's an ally of ours, right? That's why he got in trouble. So this happens. But the German national could be a honeypot, like Swalwell with the relationship he had with the lady Chinese spy. This is a security risk. There's some serious business going on with this Senate staffer, and I find it really outrageous that the media are not doing any follow-ups about the website.
They protect their own. They protect their own. Well, and they don't want to attack a gay guy.
Well, it's because there's these secret clubs in D.C. that members of the media are a part of, and this is one of many of them, and you don't speak about them. You don't follow up on them. You don't report on them. You don't tell people about them. We found out about something we're not supposed to know about.
Right.
And I knew because the staffer's a Democrat that it was going to disappear and not get expanded on too much. But I didn't think it would go away this quickly because, there's an old saying in the media that if it bleeds, it leads. Sex and things like this are big things in the news. This has sex. It has political divisions, and there's a video, okay? And not only is there the video they took, since this was in the Senate hearing room, there's video cameras all over that place. So there's video of the entire incident, including walking down the hallway to the Senate chamber and everything else.
It's crazy.
And exactly. And I don't understand why they haven't been arrested. Now, Mike Johnson's in charge of the House, but he's got to have some say with the Capitol Police about investigating this, even though Schumer's running the Senate because the Democrats run the Senate. This is the biggest sex scandal, I think, in the history of Washington. We've never seen something like this. And
they're going to ignore it because because if they start reporting on it, they validate it and they make it a scandal.
And other groups could get outed.
They don't want to. And who knows? Maybe some of them are part of these sex groups,
exactly,
and members themselves. So they're not gonna. They're gonna just let this die off. Because if it was a Republican, it'd probably be a different story.
I saw the story.
Look what the big deal they made over Cawthorn because he was in bed with a guy and he put his hand on his leg or something, or put his hand on his leg in a car. And exactly, they made such a big deal about that.
Yeah,
and that was nothing. Compared to this is crazy.
Yeah. And the thing about this whole story is nothing like this has ever happened before.
No.
This is more outrageous than Bill and Monica. There was no video of Bill and Monica.
Yeah, no. Might be today.
Yeah, maybe if it was today, Monica would have been filming or something. Maybe. Who knows? She'd have had it up on her Instagram story or something. I don't know, or TikTok. But this story here, it's already done.
Yeah, it's
already done. Democrats have complete immunity to do whatever it is they want to do. They're never held accountable. And if this were 20 years ago, even with a Democrat, the media would have been all. Remember Gary Condit and Chandra Levy?
Oh yeah.
And Gary Condit, for those that don't remember, he was a Democrat member of the House, and he was a blue dog Democrat, which means he leaned a little more conservative than he wasn't a liberal Democrat, but he was a Democrat, Gary Condit, and he had an affair with a young girl that worked as a staffer at the Congress, and she got killed. And the media were following him around. It seemed like for months, trying to, and then 9/11 happened. He had to resign from Congress for it. But he should have wrote it out because it probably would have been completely forgotten after 9/11. But the press were following him from his car into his house.
They were totally acting like he did it.
Yeah, because it involved sex too. You had sex and murder, and that's all that the news was covering. The press, even the liberal press, and he was a Democrat. They were following him all over town. He couldn't go anywhere. And then 9/11 happened, and they started covering that because, of course, it's more important. But this, I haven't seen one reporter do anything but read what's on Twitter. They haven't gone to the senator. They haven't gone to the senator's office. None of them have gone to the Senate hearing room to show their viewers what happened, where it happened, and how this happened. There's no follow-up on it. It's just like the story's dead.
Yeah.
And the senator...
It's called burying a story.
Yes, a Democrat Senator Cardin, he fired him. And then he released a statement. He didn't even say that he did it. We fired a staffer, and we will no longer comment on this. And the media okay, he's no longer going to comment. The media used to knock on the doors of these offices and ask questions. What do you mean you're not going to comment on it? We're going to keep asking what happened. This aide got that room. He signed out for the room. He reserved the room using his employment with the senator. So he signed the room out for the senator to use it. And then he went in there and did what he did. So there's a lot to talk about with this story. There's a lot of angles to follow up on. And the story's done. And I'll tell you, conservative media, there are conservative media that have access at the Capitol. Mm-hmm. They really need to follow up on this story and not let it go. The Democrats in 2020 ran on this whole thing that they were going to bring decency back to Washington. And look
Remember
what we
Michelle
got.
Obama, we go high.
They go low, we go high. Right. And you see all these terrible things that are going on. Yeah. And it's amazing to me. If this were a Republican,
they threw out George Santos.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Why did he get thrown out? Having
this guy got
sex
fired. He's not an elected official. He got fired, which that of course had to happen. But you're right. They're burying this story.
If this were a Republican staffer, believe me, it would be all over the place.
Oh yeah,
and it would never stop. They would keep pushing and investigating. They'd go to the guy's hometown and interview his parents. They would be following the senator around. They would be doing follow-ups to find out because we have it has not even been confirmed the identity of either of the people, right? It has not been officially confirmed who the two people in the sex tape are in the Senate chamber, in the Senate conference room, okay? The Senate hearing room. Okay, the press can't even go that far. They can't even confirm who it was. This is insane. If this was a Republican staffer, both of the people, the staffer and the person they were having sex with, their whole social media would be all over the place. You would know everything about them. You'd know their first, middle, and last name. You'd know where they went to college. They would interview people they were in relationships with in high school. You would get everything. But because it's a Democrat, nothing to see here. And that's such a I know this is typical, and people say, well, that's the double standard. It's always this way. Why is it that way? And I don't say that and what happens is if they don't.
The media protects them.
That's right.
They're all liberals.
If no one covers the story, you eventually you run out of things to talk about. And I would like people like Laura Loomer and Breitbart to go to the Capitol, go to and investigate this, And one thing I was suggesting is go into that room where this happened, that Senate hearing room, turn the lights off and take out a black light and see what shows up.
Oh, my goodness.
And take photographs. I think people need to know. And I think what this guy did, the reason it's been covered up so quickly, I think what he did is common at this point. I'm starting to think it is not unusual. No. In fact, I'm starting to think it's so common that the news that live there don't even think it's newsworthy because it's not news because it's so common that things like this are going on.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I'm really starting to think now. All right, listen, we're going to take a break. When we get back, there's so much to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
From author Stephanie Tayo comes a book that takes place in Cornwall, Ontario, where it seems that dreams can come true and life feels uncomplicated. But one young woman's world is about to be forever transformed. Love Beyond Age, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other online booksellers. In Love Beyond Age, meet Quinn. She's a determined soul with aspirations of becoming a psychologist. She shares a simple life with her dad, saving every penny for her dreams. But life has a way of throwing unexpected curveballs. Everything changes when she crosses paths with James, whose presence by the river ignites a connection neither can deny. As their university journeys begin, Quinn finds herself torn between her deepening connection with the mysterious James and her growing feelings for her competitive friend Jasper. Secrets are unveiled, revelations come to light, and Quinn discovers a shocking truth about James' hidden secret. As danger lurks on the horizon, relationships are put to the test, and old emotions resurface. A love triangle takes hold, pushing Quinn to the brink. She faces a choice that will shape her future and define her path. Love Beyond Age, from author Stephanie Tayo, is a story of love, secrets, and choices that will tug at your heartstrings. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Apple Books, and other online booksellers. Order your copy right now and be transported to a world where romance is intertwined with the complexities of life. Love Beyond Age, from author Stephanie Tayo. Order your copy right now. This Christmas, give the gift of creativity, imagination, and endless fun with B-Blocks Building Blocks, available on Amazon. B-Blocks Building Blocks isn't just a fun gift, but it's educational too. It's a STEM toy of 500 pieces. That's right, 500 pieces to ignite your little one's creativity. Children will be introduced to a world of colors, shapes, and designs. They'll learn to play and create with 8 vibrant colors. From enhancing fine motor skills to exploring basic geometry and architecture, B-Blocks Building Blocks is fun and a powerful learning tool. And they click securely together too. They're safe and cool, perfect for boys and girls. And this is a gift they'll cherish for years to come. B-Blocks Building Blocks are available in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. Just search B-Blocks, B-E-B-L-O-X. B-Blocks Building Blocks, because every child deserves the best. Only in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. Order your child's set right now. Musicians, discover the soulful melody of Duncan Africa guitars, handcrafted with care in Uganda, East Africa. Guided by the expertise of Master Luthier J. Duncan, these exquisite instruments are finished in Canada and sold globally, supporting Ugandan artisans. From rich tones to acoustics to electrifying AC standard, Duncan Africa offer guitars for every musician with big sounds, enchanted harmonics, focused precision. Your perfect guitar awaits. They also have handmade leather guitar straps for both acoustic and electric guitars. And if you're looking for a meaningful gift, look no further. Give the gift of music with a Duncan Africa guitar and strap. Visit DuncanAfrica.com and strike a chord that resonates around the world. DuncanAfrica.com. Get your dream guitar. Change your life. Is your computer running slow, filled with viruses, broken? If you think you need a new computer, don't buy one until you talk to the computer repair experts at PCFixTX.com. With over 2 decades of experience, PCFixTX.com has the skills and knowledge to diagnose and repair your computer issues. And that can save you a lot of money. PCFixTX.com have a wide range of services beyond computer repair. They can back up your data. Need a professional website for your business? They can design it. Have an app idea? they can make that happen too. PCFixTX.com is your one-stop shop for all things tech. They can help with virus removal. They provide top-notch SEO services. They can even design eye-catching logos. With over 2 decades of experience, their passionate team can solve your tech problems and do it at prices that won't break the bank. PCFixTX.com do it all. Computer repair, website design, online classes, fraud prevention, and more. Book your appointment online at PCFixTX.com or call them directly 210-401-0302. PCFixTX.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And if you'd like to support the program by becoming a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of the episode. There's also a direct link on my website, BrianCraigShow.com. And if you're a top Patreon supporter, you get a live on-air thank you on each and every podcast episode. But you top Patreon supporters, you may not know this, but you also have your names listed, if you're a top Patreon supporter, in the podcast episode descriptions, but also in all of my YouTube video descriptions. So if you're a top Patreon supporter, you are listed in our YouTube video descriptions too. I don't know if you guys all knew that. But the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P., Carlos, Paulette, John, Maria in Texas, Richard, David, Heather, and ActicFox. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your support. All right, so got an update on a story I had this morning. There's audio tape of Joe Biden's brother from an FBI investigation of public officials taking bribes. I'm going to play you the audio in a minute. But this is from 2007. Joe Biden's brother, James Biden, Joe Biden's brother. He does for Joe what Hunter does in different ways, but they both got deals going on. He's got deals going on with Hunter. He's got deals going on with James. Okay. So he does the same stuff that Hunter does.
Sells access.
Yeah, that's right.
In favors.
Exactly. So this is in the Gateway Pundit, and these are some updates. I had this story this morning, but now I got the audio, which I'm going to share with you. Out of all the topics the Biden White House didn't want to see in Sunday's Washington Post, this had to be at the top of their list. The Washington Post, which is considered the Washington newspaper of record, published recordings yesterday of Joe Biden's brother James engaged in scoring off his famous last name during the late 90s. The recordings were made by FBI investigators. And, I mean, come on. I mean, this is crazy. The Washington Post article was headlined, James Biden's deal-making caught on FBI tapes, an unrelated bribery probe. And let me go down and play these. This is pretty amazing. This was the audio was in the Washington Post article. You'll hear James Biden deal making, and these are FBI tapes. And then I'll talk about why these are out. So let me play the tapes. Crazy. Hold on. Here we go. Come on.
And I told him that we had formalized our relationship with you guys, told him about the real Washington presence, that this was not going to be, a bullshit, shingle hung somewhere in a window, that this was a real deal, that Sarah was coming on, as a named partner, equity share in the venture, that we were changing the name of the firm to include her. Told her that, Hunter was going to be involved and you were going to be involved.
My hesitancy to be
this is James.
To be an opportunist. And everybody is jumping on him.
Right.
Okay? There's nothing wrong with opportunists. Sarah just rolled her eyes at me. But to being a whore about it, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody's just jumping in, like, let me do your insurance, let me do your legal.
Okay. So you hear Hunter's name too. 15 years ago.
Yeah.
James Biden, and they got Hunter's name in there too. I mean, there's no family in politics at this level that are.
So
as
they've
dirty
known
as these
about
guys.
their activities that long.
Yeah.
They're recording things.
See, this is what
long history of this.
Yes, this is what I believe. Okay. The biggest information that's come out in the last couple of months about Biden's corruption have both come from the FBI. These tapes and that bank account information with the $10 million in the Cyprus bank accounts for Joe Biden. The FBI are after Joe Biden. The deep state went, and this came out through the Washington Post.
Well, they went after Nixon. They went after George Bush.
Well, yeah, and the FBI, Woodward and Bernstein did not do any investigative journalism. That is a big lie.
Yeah.
They were handed everything by Mark Felt Deep Throat, the FBI, who was, he was FBI guy.
He just used them to get it out.
But Woodward and Bernstein were like with this tape with the Washington Post.
Right.
The FBI uses the Washington Post to get information. See, when information like these tapes or Joe Biden's $10 million in the Cyprus bank accounts come out, they can't just put it out on Twitter or have someone reference it. They have to have it in a credible news source for it to have traction and be meaningful. Yeah. So the FBI gets the tape, it mentions Hunter, printed in the Washington Post, and that gives a lot of credibility to it. Now, I don't know why they're after Joe Biden for sure. I got a few theories. I'm not sure which it is, but the FBI are the ones that are after Joe Biden. Comer's committee has done really no investigating. It's all been FBI leaks. Remember the Cyprus bank account information. The FBI gave Comer's committee information from one of their informants, from an FBI informant. So the main stories that have come out about Biden have come from the FBI.
Interesting.
So what's that about? And you guys let me know in the comments, why are the FBI, the deep state that's after Trump, why are they after Biden?
Trying to get him to drop out or something. I don't know. It's never going to happen.
Something's really weird.
Yeah.
Something's really weird. Now, next month is the Iowa caucus. And I was watching Fox a little bit today. I was listening to Fox in the car. I had a long drive today when I got off the air. And the reason I was listening to Fox is I wanted to hear if they did anything on that Senate sex scandal. I did not hear a reference to it while I was listening. And I was listening to it for over an hour. And they just recap everything every hour. But they're doing a lot of pushing for on Fox for Nikki Haley and DeSantis still. And they have all these campaign leaders that are working for each of them on. And they interview people that are voters and stuff like this. And they started to do something different today on Fox. They're starting to say, Iowa and New Hampshire is not important. It's South Carolina.
Right.
South Carolina, which is the third one.
Because he's way ahead in Iowa. So they're just like, we'll just skip that.
Yeah. So I told you guys this was, these never Trumpers always have a scheme. They're always working on a scheme, a new scheme, a different scheme, this scheme, that scheme, And I told you guys weeks ago on this program that they're going to try to bring Nikki Haley through to South Carolina. Mm-hmm. They expect her to lose in Iowa and New Hampshire. But since she was twice elected governor of South Carolina, they think she might have a slim chance to win it or come in a closer second than anywhere else, and then they'll declare that she's got momentum in winning.
Right.
And now I'm starting to see them openly reveal that. But when they say these things are really decided in South Carolina, not New Hampshire and Iowa.
That's what that's all about.
If these are not decided in New Hampshire and Iowa, why did Governor DeSantis of Florida, 8 months ago, move to Iowa?
Exactly. Yeah,
right?
He's done.
And I was telling you this morning, Kathy, I said, do you think DeSantis comes home to Florida every night, or does he have a place that is he living in Iowa?
He must be renting a place. I don't know.
I'm serious.
Now Laura Loomer can maybe find out.
Isn't that? I'm really.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Trump. Okay, no matter where he is, he flies back home every night.
Right.
But he's got his own luxury plane.
Right.
DeSantis doesn't have his own plane, so to fly around is expensive for him, and his campaign's running out of money quickly.
True.
And I don't know. I don't have any information on this. I'm just telling you that he is in Iowa so much, there's no way he's flying back to Florida every night.
No, I don't think so.
He's got to have a rented house or an apartment, or he's staying in hotels. He's living in Iowa.
I would think, yeah.
And I that, this goes back.
They obviously don't like him there.
No, they don't. I mean, he's been there all year, and he's awful in the polls. These are the kinds of things I'm telling you about with the media, like how they're not covering that story.
They pick and choose.
I think it's a fascinating story to find out where the governor of Florida is really living.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea.
And I cannot believe it is in Florida because he's doing campaigning. The way that he campaigns in Iowa, when he was a working governor here in Florida, every day he was speaking somewhere as the governor of Florida for something he was doing back when he was a good guy. And now he's doing that in Iowa. So I think he's living in Iowa, and I think that's a huge story, and I wish someone would that'd be a perfect story for Laura Loomer, no doubt about it.
I agree.
I would love them to find out where he's really living. How embarrassing would that be for DeSantis? That would be almost as embarrassing as the high heel shoes.
I don't think he's capable of getting embarrassed.
No.
He doesn't seem to get embarrassed by anything.
No, he doesn't. I mean, what a disappointment he is. I used to love that guy.
I know.
I used to love that guy. Yesterday, Steve Kane and I had a personal appearance at Wings Plus, which is one of our sponsors. And the last time I did an event at Wings Plus is when Ron DeSantis, it was right before his reelection, had a fundraiser at Wings Plus, and I was a part of that thing. This is before the betrayal, okay, and he was running for president. And it was so funny because it was at the same place, and actually the part where we had a private room for our listeners, Steve Kane and I. That is where Ron DeSantis and his wife were set up at Wings Plus. It was in that same room. I didn't think about that at the time, actually, when I was there. But that was the area that they were, like their staging area. But people, it's so funny because the number one question that listeners asked me yesterday, because I got to meet DeSantis there, and I had said last time I was here for an appearance, I was here with Governor DeSantis, and they all asked me the same question pretty much. How tall is Ron DeSantis? How tall is Ron DeSantis? Yeah. And I said about my height, about my height. It's hard to tell because he's got heels on.
It's hard to tell.
That the day that I met him, he was wearing cowboy boots that have regular cowboy heels on them. So he even had lifts then, but it was, but that thing I told you that would do him in.
Probably like 5'8", probably 5'5" around there, average height.
He told Patrick Bet-David he's 5'11".
In his heels.
in his dreams, in his heels.
Yeah.
I've never seen, he is the Ted Kennedy of the Republican Party. I mean, he's done more damage to himself than Ted Kennedy did, because Ted Kennedy went on after his problems and was in the Senate for the rest of his life for decades. Ron DeSantis is completely done. But they're doing the transition in the media now. Well, these things are really decided in South Carolina. I think Trump will beat Nikki Haley in South Carolina. He's beating DeSantis in Florida. And I'll tell you something. A couple things about Nikki Haley in South Carolina that I've been hearing from Republicans in South Carolina. And that is, one, she didn't finish her term. Trump made her the UN ambassador, so she didn't finish her second term. But a lot of people in South Carolina don't like her. She was already doing business with the military-industrial complex then, okay? And people were catching on to her in her second term, okay? But what Nikki Haley is counting on, she got Governor Sununu of New Hampshire to endorse her. New Hampshire is an open primary, which means you can vote regardless of your political affiliation. For example, in Florida, we have a closed primary, which means since we're registered Republicans, we can only vote for Republicans.
Right.
We can't vote in the Democrat primary. In New Hampshire, this is true with the Iowa caucus as well. It doesn't matter what you're registered, you can vote for either party. So what Nikki Haley has been doing in both Iowa and mostly in New Hampshire, because she's got Governor Sununu of New Hampshire, who runs the political machine there, or at least got a lot of sway with it. She's trying to get Democrats to vote for her, and that's how sleazy she is.
Yeah.
If she's out there trying to get Democrats to vote for her, why would you want her to be president? If she's willing to do something that bad,
because they convince her that it's the ends justifies the means.
Well, when you start doing things like that, see, these people that hold office, as soon as they get reelected, as soon as they get elected to office, they made all these deals. Mm-hmm. The first thing they think about is getting reelected before they do anything. So if you have someone like Nikki Haley who caters to Democrats to try to win a a primary in New Hampshire. She'll do the same thing with donors and everything else. So when she gets into office, she's not. But if she got into office, she owes all these Democrats favors.
Yeah.
They expect things from her.
That's right.
And there's Democrat donors that are donating to her. So donors don't donate to just because they donate in exchange for favors. So Nikki Haley, if she gets into office, she's going to owe a lot of Democrats a lot of favors. So, I mean, is that the kind of person you want? I like Donald Trump, who doesn't owe anyone any favors.
Exactly.
Right?
That's
exactly. Right. Well, listen, everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will talk to you next time.